actually school teachers in a previous life. And I was a school teacher during the very first issuance of pink slips during Bob Ray days. And pink slips were notified to the teachers, and I was on just a contract. So when I went to the school, they said that it would be probably at least January of the following year before I would have a spot at the school. And at that time, my dad's salesperson had given his notice, and my dad was looking for a salesman at Manley's in the furniture department. So I said to my dad, why don't I give you a year and we'll see how it goes and what happens. And so I started working for my dad and never looked back. I loved it and I stayed.
I think ever since I was little, I always used to, people ask what I want to do when I grew up, and I said that I wanted to run Manley's like my dad. So I think we always, all my sisters and I, we all worked in the business growing up, and that's what I thought I'd do until I met my husband that lived up on the Bruce Peninsula and moved up there and started a family and that kind of thing. And then I was able to move back down when my dad and my uncle decided to retire and asked if I wanted to come down and work with my sister, and I did. So then I came back and did what I said I was going to do when I was little.
Family was all very, very supportive, and our friends were all supportive too. I think the biggest thing that some of my friends would say, what, you're giving up a teacher's pension? And I'm like, well, I haven't even paid a full year into my teacher's pension. So yeah.
I think growing up, again, it was mom and dad were so big because our family, it was a family business, right? So that was mine.
Yeah, mom and dad were definitely the two. We watched them in the business for years. They taught us how to do things. And then once I started the business, Bob Ryle from Hay Stationery in London, he also became a mentor. He was a steel case dealer like us. And so my dad and I would go down and join Bob at his team, and together we would do all the different steel case events together. So mom and dad and Bob Ryle would be my three. I think it's always been the right decision. The nice thing about having your own business is you can pick your hours. So if you need to be at your kids' events, you can be there. If you need to be somewhere, you can go. You have that freedom to come and go when you want to. Now, the drawback to that is that you also will have sleepless nights, and you have times where you just are at work for like 20 hours of a 24-hour day. So it has its pros and its cons, but definitely the great thing is that freedom that when you need to go, you can go.
Oh, there's all different times through the years, depending on the day.
I think the biggest event that's had the most impact on us as business owners has been COVID.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it has really changed things. When COVID started, we had team meetings, like 3 times a week, just trying to keep everyone updated, because we didn't know if we were going to be open, if we were going to be closed, what was going to happen, were we going to have jobs next week, or were we going to be shut down? Our emotions were high around here. I know there's times I went into a team meeting and I was crying. And we just tried to give everybody as much information as we possibly could, but we didn't know. And as you'd know, something would show up in the news and then it wouldn't happen for like 5 weeks. And then you'd watch it again and then something was going to happen and then that changed. So it was literally, stuff was changing by the hour, and it got to the point where you just wanted to quit watching the news because the prime minister would come on and say something and then nothing would be released for like 7, 8, 10, 15 days after. And as a business owner, you're grasping, saying, help. And I will say that the SLBDC was fabulous with us, because she was the only person who continually sent us information. So thank you to your organization, because you guys continuously sent us information, and we knew when it came that it was accurate and happening.
Ties in with the COVID thing was a huge challenge. Again, not knowing day to day, the constant communication.
Another thing that's just recently happening is just a labor shortage. So that's been difficult to try and get people. We had a job posting for 4 months, and I think we had 2 resumes, and it's just, that's not normal. Like normally you put a job posting out and the first day you have 40 resumes. So that's been difficult. Our staff that we have is amazing, and we're very, very fortunate here. We're like a big family, and it's great, but that has been an obstacle as well. Our sales, our GP, and our customer satisfaction. I can say yes. I am on a furniture committee, and I am the only female representative on the committee. And I've been on it since I was 24 years old. And when I go to the committee meetings, the team members are fabulous because we all know and respect each other, and they understand that I know what I'm talking about. However, some of the people that come in to present to us or discuss their products with us will somewhat dismiss me or not listen to my opinion as diligently as they would some of the men, and it's frustrating. I think for me, what I have really appreciated the most, I'm involved heavily with Rotary, and I volunteer a lot in the community. And I was acknowledged by I won a Women's of Excellence Award, which was huge. And also I was on the Mayor's Honor Roll last year. So those were both great big honors. And it was just nice to be appreciated. That's not why you do it, but it was nice to receive that.
Carolyn never stops. She's that person that will never say no. She volunteers everywhere. Anything happening, Carolyn's in the middle of it, and we're really proud of. Absolutely. There was so many changes, and that was a constant. We were constantly struggling with what to do, how we set up. We had to get new workstations. We had to constantly clean. Or some of the other things.
Well, one day you're open, the next day you're not allowed to be open. The next day you're open, then you're not allowed to be open. Then there's no masks, then there's masks. It was just like a constant trying to figure everything out. And that's why the notices from your organization were so great, because it was like, okay, effective tomorrow, masks are mandatory.
Yeah.
Because it was simple like that. Like once it was masks are going to be mandatory, and then they weren't, and then they were, and it was just that not fully understanding, because you want to do things by the law because you don't want to be shut down.
Yeah.
But when you're being fed misinformation by so many sources, it's difficult. And we changed things around here with COVID. A lot of the plants didn't have workers in the buildings. So, and they're a big portion of our furniture contracts. So with it, what we started to do was a lot more home stuff. And so we did things like we had kids kits because we have a whole bunch of art supplies. And so we sold these. So parents had something to entertain their children while they were at home. We got into puzzles. We got into, we've always sold hand sanitizer and masks, but we were fortunate that friends of ours at the beginning has a huge medical supply company. And he was bringing in planefuls of stuff from China at the start, and we were able to piggyback on his order. And so we had some of these supplies, and we were very, very fortunate because they were difficult to get. And we had some. So we learned a lot about business during COVID, do's and don'ts. Our staff has changed since COVID because jobs that we had at the start of COVID didn't survive through COVID because we changed the way we did things. And so we had to make changes in order to survive and in order to, still be here today.
And it's made them more well-rounded because now they don't just do one part of a job. Now they see it through, so they understand things a lot more. And social media has been huge. We've done a lot more with social media that we had never done before. So that's been a big change as well for us.
I think my advice would be work hard and know your business and know your people. And you will have long nights and sleepless nights, but you will also have freedom, and it's so rewarding. So there are a lot of cons, but there's even more pros. And just have fun while you do it as much as you can, but know that there are going to be difficulties that you're going to have to climb.
And do your homework, have contingency plans, and try to surround yourself with good people.
I think that one thing we found with COVID happening was that we didn't have enough cross training of our employees. And I think that now we're working on that. But I think that if we were to go back in time, I would work more on cross training in the past, just so that everyone knows everybody's jobs. And then they can appreciate their jobs too, right?
Absolutely. I would have put a big addition on here. We need more space. Yeah, we should have done that years ago.